I guess we can start. Thanks,
Yes.
Christoph. Thanks, Gudrun. And yeah, we should have plenty of time after I'm done with my slides. So as already mentioned, this module that I'm presenting and that I'm teaching at Qgis is called Automating GIS Workflows with QGIS and Python. What is the goal of this module? So we first introduce how to use QGIS for common geographic information science tasks, so particularly visualization, data editing, and of course spatial analysis. And at the same time, we want to also learn how to use Python to automate exactly those same workflows as well. So we don't just look at the desktop GIS and the graphical user interface, we also look at the Python API that is provided by QGIS, and that makes it possible to extend QGIS to automate workflows and even build standalone applications if that's something that you're interested in. The short summary, the module is scheduled to take 3 months and it's offered 3 times a year. It is for free ECTS and it consists of a variety of different materials. So there's a book that we are using, there's different online reading and of course videos that are included. Some of them are mandatory and there's a lot of optional stuff that you can also watch and read to further enhance your learning experience. The requirements are that you have some experience in GIS basics. On the other hand, while some previous exposure to Python is useful, it is absolutely not necessary. This whole module has been designed in a way that makes it possible for you to get started with Python even without any previous programming experience. But make sure to take some more time than you would usually do for a 6th ECTS course, if that is the case for you. So the method we are following is that we are going back and forth between the QGIS user interface and doing the same tasks in Python. So we will first introduce a new concept and get accustomed to it and the corresponding terms and names of different tools that QGIS uses. And once we are familiar with that, we will try to reproduce the same thing using Python. And using this interleaved approach has proven to be very, very helpful in easing the participants into the whole Python thinking and to give them more time instead of just cramming all the programming tasks towards the end of the course, which has in the past proven to be a bit challenging and people tended to run out of time. So now we have always first the introduction of the concept using the user interface, and once you're familiar with that, you can advance to automating it. And as listed here, there are several concepts that we go through. Obviously, after the introduction, we will do some editing. We will, of course, cover how to design maps and how to automate map creation. We will look into exploratory data analysis and automated spatial data analysis. There's also a module about taking your analysis results and presenting them on the web. And the final modules focus then completely on Python. How can you extend QGIS with Python and how can you even develop your own plugins? If you're interested in the specific assignments, I have them listed here. So there are 7 main assignments and there are some bonus assignments. On the right-hand side, you can see just a couple of pictures of previous students, what they submitted. So we do a map series or report generation. And we, of course, use the modeler to automate workflows before we go into programming it purely in Python. So those are just a few previews of what you will be doing in this module.
Noch eine quatschen die auch noch auf Englisch?
There is,
Ja.
I've also added here the points. So as I mentioned before, this new approach of combining and interleaving graphical user interface and programming lectures has been very successful. So almost 90% of students complete all the mandatory assignments, including the processing script. Some of them also skip the first assignment, because as you can see, we have bonus assignments, so you can focus completely on the programming as well. If you don't want to do the theoretical one in the beginning, that's fine. And what has made me particularly happy the last year was that almost a third of students also completed the bonus exercise of assignment 7, where they created a processing plugin in Python. So that's really awesome if people get all the way through that. Yeah, and with that, I'm looking forward to your questions. Is there anything specific you would like to know about the module that I can answer right now? Otherwise, of course, you can drop me a message as well.
Thank you very much, Anita, for your talk. We welcome questions both by oral contributions, but you can also share your questions anytime with the chat.
Aaron, can I get you to head up this way and start uploading some designs?
And those of you who are just listening and don't want to say anything, please mute yourself so that we don't have any background noise. Okay, as I said, both is okay, either oral or per chat. Okay, we have one question, Anita. Whether can you give an example of where this module is applicable?
Sure. So the general introduction into QGIS, of course, will help you to use this GIS application in your regular GIS work, so if you're a data analyst. But what we particularly try to emphasize with the integration of the automation, so with Python programming, is to give you also the tools to work more efficiently, to automate your work, to make it reproducible. If you are interested in reproducible data science, so some of the things that you will be learning here could also help you in your reproducible science efforts. But also if you're working in industry or in government, it will help you to document your workflows better than if you were attempting to document a workflow using just a graphical user interface. So this is one of the main motivations of why we are doing it exactly this way, besides simply just introducing you to how to use the software.
Another question is whether there is an introduction to Python, or do you introduce Python into your module,
My understanding
so how much
is
of
that there
Python knowledge
is,
needed?
yeah, I know that Qgis offers another Python class as well, but it's not mandatory that you take it before you attend this module. As I said in the introduction, it's absolutely okay. The module does not assume any previous Python knowledge, but please make sure to take some time. It's a 6 ECTS course. If you come at it without any prior Python knowledge, try to take a bit more time than you would usually take for a 6 ECTS course.
Another question, do we learn Python in a specific environment, Anaconda or Netbeans?
That's an excellent question, and the answer is yes, it is a specific environment. It is the QGIS environment. So particularly if you install QGIS on Windows, it comes with its own Python environment. So once you have installed QGIS, you basically have a working Python environment on your machine, and we will be using that one. In some other operating systems, it might be the operating system environment, but that really depends on what system you're using. Right now, you've probably seen that a QGIS can also be installed via Anaconda, but that is not the official installation method just yet, and it's also not officially supported, so we haven't moved to that yet, but we may do that in the future.
Great, thank you. You mentioned the book that this module is based on. Is that free just for participants of the course, or is it free?
So Qgis provides this book to the students, and for everyone who doesn't take the module, it's available from Pact, and then it's not an open book per se.
Right. Then there's one question whether students in that module learn how to develop a plugin, or whether this is just a bonus optional add-on thing.
So there's all the material there for you to learn how to create a plugin. There's also a bonus assignment, which is about creating a plugin. So if you do that, you will get extra points. But for those of you who don't feel up to this challenge, the mandatory assignments, they stop at writing a Python script. So not a full-fledged Python plugin with all the bells and whistles, but you will be certainly developing a script. And as I said, almost 90% of students have finished all the assignments. It's really great to see that the structure really works, and you will be able to finish that for sure.
Okay, thank you. I think that was all the questions that are related to you content-wise. Then there is a question whether there is a limit of participants. Usually not, theoretically yes. So the earlier you sign up for it, the better it is. And then there's another question whether we are offering advanced GIS and Python courses. There is another Python course that is together with ArcGIS, but it's also introductory. So beyond that, I think you're good enough to set off on your own. Or how? What's your take on that, Anita?
Well, you're certainly good enough to set off on your own. It might be a bit faster if you probably would have some instructional aid, or you just grab some more books. Usually it's most challenging to try to piece everything together from online materials. But if you grab one of the more recent books and maybe dive into GeoPandas or something related to that, I think you will be able to pick it up rather quickly.
Right. There is one last question that is more organizational. When we're going to publish the new schedule for next year, well, that's currently pulled together, and I hope that will be as soon as possible. Then there is a fair question of the German participant. In which language are the course materials? Are they only in English or also in German? And in which language do the exam papers have to be handed in? Do you also accept German assignments?
So yes, for me, it doesn't matter whether you hand in your assignments in German or in English. The course material itself is only available in English, so we have not translated everything. Also, there are all the books that are available there in English. So you will have to be able to read those to follow the course. But you can hand in your assignments in German if you feel more comfortable writing in German.
Right, I think these were the questions. From my side, that is just a warm recommendation for that module. Anita, as you probably know, is very deep into open source GS and especially Qgis, where she is in the steering committee. So if you want to dive into that direction, this is a highly recommended module.